I was perched at the edge of my old love seat, wrapped tight in a faded fleece blanket that still held a hint of last December's cinnamon candles. The apartment was hushed, the only glow coming from the cheap, blinking lights I'd strung across a tiny fake spruce tree I hauled up the stairs myself. Barely 3 feet tall and listing to one side, it was dressed in a mix of garage sale ornaments I'd picked up over the years. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and tonight it was the only thing lighting up the room. Through the thin walls, I could hear the muffled sound of people laughing next door, clinking glasses, the occasional cheer. Someone was butchering Silent Night on a piano, off-key and all. I tried to smile, tried to act like it didn't hit me right in the gut. But it did. It always did. This made it the 3rd Christmas in a row with no call, no text, not even one of those guilt-wrapped holiday cards from my family. That first year, they claimed it was just a scheduling hiccup. The next, they said they figured I was busy and didn't want to bother me. But this year? No story. Just radio silence. Until my phone lit up. For a second, I let myself hope. Maybe someone finally thought of me. Last-minute message, maybe a little apology. But when I checked, all I saw was an email with the subject, Winter Holiday Cost Breakdown, please review, and a damn PDF attached. I opened it. Right at the top in bold Calibri font, Holiday Catamaran Celebration, shared family expenses total, $6,100 split 3 ways your portion, $3,050. I just sat there blinking. Was this a joke? I scrolled down looking for a punchline. A cheeky emoji. Something. Anything. But nope, just bullet points. Catering, dock fees, bottomless cocktail bar, and a tidy note asking me to transfer the money to my dad's account by January 5th. Thing is, I hadn't even known there was a party. No invite. No heads up. Not a whisper. But apparently, they remembered me when the bill came due. My stomach nodded. I set the phone face down and looked over at my lopsided little tree, still blinking like nothing had just shifted in the air. Once upon a time, I loved Christmas, back when I used to bake sugar cookies with Mom. Or argue with my brother Nolan over what movie we'd watch. He was all about shoot-'em-ups, and I leaned sentimental. Dad would wrestle with the lights and grumble in that fake, annoyed way of his. We were chaotic, noisy, but we were together. Now, they had a private boat party, and I had an invoice. I stared at that damn file until the numbers blurred. Not a Merry Christmas. Not even a thinking of you. Just a payment request, like I was some cousin they hadn't seen in years, but still counted on when it came to splitting the tab. I leaned back into the cushions, throat tightening. They hadn't saved me a seat at the table, but they made damn sure to reserve my share of the cost. And that said more than words ever could. I kept watching those little tree lights blink, but in my head, all I could see was the number. $3,050. That wasn't just money. That was a memory yanked out of the dark corner. I'd shoved it into a reminder of all the times they'd left me out, and how quietly I'd let them, and why Dad used to call me the self-sufficient one. He made it sound like a compliment, like I should wear it with pride. Every holiday, every family barbecue, Emery's always been the one who handles her own business. I'd smile, thinking it meant he respected me. But over time, it didn't feel like praise anymore. It felt like a quiet goodbye. It meant I didn't need the check-ins, or the help, or the damn invite. It gave them permission to leave me off the group chats, to assume I was fine. And I was, until I wasn't. Nolan, though? He never had to work for love. He could screw up curfew, dent Mom's car, forget birthdays, and still be the golden child we all orbited around. That's just Nolly being Nolly, they'd laugh. Meanwhile, I caught heat for skipping one chore or bringing home an A instead of an A+. And even now, he was still getting the royal treatment. That yacht party? It wasn't just about the holidays, it was a freaking coronation. He'd snagged some cushy regional director title at a property firm, and they threw him a private cruise to celebrate. What nobody said, not even Nolan, was that just 3 months earlier, he'd completely freaked out about the job application. He called me, voice barely above a whisper, like admitting doubt might disqualify him from manhood or something. "I don't think I'm even qualified," he murmured. "It's way out of my league." And there I was, staying up 2 nights straight piecing together his hot mess of a resume. Typos everywhere, half-finished sentences, bullet points that made no sense. I rewrote entire sections, cleaned up the layout, even built him a brand new cover letter from scratch. Walked him through typical interview questions like a coach before the big game, pretending not to notice just how much he was relying on me. He got the job. Then came the fancy boat bash. And eventually, the invoice for me to "oh thanks," no text, not even a nod in my direction. Just a $3,050 bill for a party I accidentally helped make happen. That stung the most. Not the cost, not even the exclusion. It was knowing I'd poured energy into someone who wouldn't lift a finger if the roles were reversed. Someone who didn't even stop to think about it. They kept calling me the strong one, the capable one. But what they really meant was expendable, and maybe for the first time, I was done pretending that label was some kind of medal, because I wasn't okay. Not anymore. I looked down at that invoice one last time, then opened my banking app. I didn't flinch. I entered my dad's routing info and typed in the amount, $1. In the memo line, I wrote, "Looks like Santa forgot me, too." No explanations. No drama. Just the kind of message that might get a chuckle if they didn't stop and realize what it actually meant. I hit send. The screen blinked. Transfer complete. And right then, something loosened in my chest. Not quite relief, more like a shift. Like I'd finally said something out loud after holding it in for way too long. Set the phone aside, got up, and walked over to the tiny kitchen table where my laptop was charging. It was time. The Netflix account? Mine. Hulu? Mine. Spotify Premium, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Disney Plus, all under my name. I'd added them over the years without thinking twice. It had just felt easier than listening to the guilt or dodging the sighs. But tonight, nope. I went through every single account, one by one. Remove user. Change password. Log out of all devices. Confirm. And no, I didn't feel like some badass stuff. I didn't feel spiteful either. I felt clean. Like I'd just washed off years of invisible weight, stuff I'd been carrying since the moment I was old enough to quietly fix everything they'd let fall apart. Next up, the family phone plan. Somehow, I'd ended up footing most of the bill for the past 4 years. It just happened. "I'll Venmo you," they used to say, and then they didn't. The last payment my dad sent? 11 months ago. I opened the wireless account portal, found their lines, and removed them one by one. Simple. Done. Then came the credit cards. 2 of them were in my name, emergency use only deals I'd handed over to my parents a long time ago. I should have cut them off ages back. But every time, there was an excuse. What if something went wrong? What if it caused a blow up? What if they thought I was ungrateful? Not tonight. I froze both accounts and requested replacements with brand new numbers. From now on, nobody used my name unless I said so. By the time I closed the laptop, it was well past midnight. The apartment was quiet. The soft flicker of tree lights still casting a warm little glow in the corner. I wasn't mad. I wasn't heartbroken. I was just done. Done being the go-to. Done being the afterthought with the wallet. Done giving simply because it was easier than saying no. That night, I didn't exactly sleep peacefully. But for the first time in years, I didn't wake up feeling like I owed anyone an apology, a favor, or an explanation. By morning, the messages had already started. The first one popped up from my mom. "Lena, something's weird with the Netflix. Keeps saying the account's unavailable. Did you change something? No, good morning. No, Merry Christmas. Just panic about not being able to watch a screen." I didn't reply. Next came a flurry of missed calls from my dad. Then a voicemail, half annoyed, half baffled. "Hey, I think there's some kind of billing mistake with the cell plan. Call me so we can sort this out." I deleted it before he finished the sentence. Then the family group chat blew up. "Nolan, okay? What's happening? Why can't I log into Amazon?" Mom chimed in. Everything's down. Did the cards expire or something? Then Nolan again. Real mature, Lena. You could have just said something instead of being petty. That one stopped me cold. Petty. Immature. Like I'd thrown a hissy fit, like years of swallowing disappointment and biting my tongue were just me throwing a tantrum. I scrolled through the chat history. Weeks of inside jokes, weekend plans, snapshots from brunches I was never invited to. And oh, one ever asked why I didn't respond, because they weren't talking to me, they were talking around me. I was only tagged when something needed fixing. Quiet. Useful. And now, suddenly, I was visible. Not because they missed me, but because they missed the free subscriptions, the auto-renewals, the Prime shipping. I didn't reply, not because I didn't have the words, but because any words would have been flipped into guilt. Not one person asked if I was okay. Not a single, where have you been, or how are you spending the holidays? Just, what happened to our perks? What happened to our access? They didn't miss their daughter. They missed the damn conveniences I paid for. I muted the chat and shut off the notifications. The quiet that followed? It felt like the first real gift I'd unwrapped in years. IT had never been about family. Not really. IT was always about what I could contribute, cover, fix, without complaint. And now that I'd unplugged the machinery holding up their illusion, they were scrambling not because I was gone, but because their comfort had gone with me. That said it all, without a single word. Around noon, my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. For a second, I almost ignored it, figuring it was spam or one more desperate backdoor call from someone trying to get through, but something made me pick up. Hi, this is Erica from Crestway Credit Union's Fraud Prevention Team. Am I speaking with Lena Whitlow? I confirmed, cautiously. We've flagged some recent activity on 2 credit cards in your name. Do you have a few minutes to go over that? I closed my eyes, just for a beat. Yeah, I said, steady. I've got time. She started rattling off the details, 2 accounts I'd frozen a couple nights earlier. The same ones I'd opened years ago for emergencies only. Back when I still believed emergency meant an actual crisis, not gas station runs, weekly groceries, or steakhouse dinners charged casually without a word. There's been a report of possible unauthorized access, Erica continued. The individual says they were locked out of funds they were authorized to use. I inhaled slowly. There's no fraud, I said. Calm. Clear. I'm the sole account holder. No one else has permission. I froze them myself. A pause. I could hear typing and the people who previously used those cards. My parents, I said. They were using them without my consent. They were aware the cards didn't belong to them. Yeah, they knew. I let it slide for way too long. That ends now. Another pause. More quiet keystrokes. Understood, she said. So just to confirm, you're aware of all recent changes and you personally authorized each one? I am, I said. There's no fraud here. Just a family who mistook me for a doormat. I hadn't meant to say that last part out loud, but once it slipped out, I didn't take it back. Erica let out a soft, almost sympathetic laugh. Not mocking, more like she understood. I'll go ahead and close the fraud case, she said. I'll make a note on the file. Thank you, I replied. Take care of yourself, Lena, she added before the line went quiet. I stared at my phone for a long moment after the call ended, her words still lingering, but mostly my own. I hadn't yelled, I hadn't cried, I'd just told the truth, and somehow that truth didn't feel explosive. It felt like oxygen, like I'd cracked open a window in a room I didn't even know had been suffocating me. They had loved the perks that came with my name, my accounts, my resources, my silence. But now, for the first time, they had to meet someone unfamiliar, me, no longer afraid to take up space. After that, I didn't even bother checking the family group chat. The alerts kept stacking up, but I let them sit there, unread. I already knew what they'd say, puzzled concern wrapped in guilt, then attempts to regain control dressed up in the word family. But I wasn't replying, not out of anger, not to prove a point. I was just done. For the first time in a long while, I let silence do the heavy lifting. I didn't rush to explain or diffuse or soften. I didn't play emotional translator for people who never once asked how I was really doing, and at first, the stillness felt unfamiliar. No favor requests, no surprise bills, no guilt-laced, just checking in messages, just quiet. Then, out of nowhere, New Year's Eve showed up. I hadn't made plans. Didn't feel the need to, but around 7, I threw on my favorite oversized green sweater and walked a few blocks to a little Italian place I liked. Nothing fancy, just warm lights, the faint sound of jazz, and a handful of strangers gently easing into the end of the year. I asked for a table by the window. The waiter didn't ask if I was waiting on someone. He just handed me a menu and smiled. I ordered a glass of Cabernet, the ribeye special, mashed potatoes on the side. When the food arrived, I didn't scroll my phone or pretend to look busy. I ate slowly. I let it taste good. I didn't think about what my family was doing, and for the first time, I didn't wonder if they were thinking about me. And when the countdown came and champagne corks popped and glasses clinked all around me, I lifted my own, just slightly. I wasn't toasting the future. I was honoring the version of me that had stopped begging to be seen. For years, I'd survived on scraps, emotional leftovers, last-minute texts, conditional invitations. I was always the one who understood, the one who flexed, so they wouldn't have to. But not tonight. Tonight, I had chosen me, not to rebel, not to be dramatic. Just because I was finally done performing gratitude for crumbs, I paid the check, tipped well, and stepped out into the cold. Downtown shimmered with confetti and laughter and countdowns on loop. But I didn't feel left out. For once, I wasn't waiting for a message that wouldn't come. I had shown up for myself. The email arrived in the second week of January. Subject line, "We need to talk." I almost deleted it without opening. But something in me, curiosity maybe, wanted to see what version of reality he was trying to sell. I clicked. It wasn't long, but it was careful. Calculated, like someone writing with gloves on. Every sentence in his email was polished, trimmed down to sound concerned, but never accountable. He said he'd noticed some tension lately, that things fell off. And then, the cherry on top. Family stays together, especially when things get hard. We should remember that. There it was, draped in nostalgia, dipped in sentiment, but emptied. No mention of the yacht party. No acknowledgement of the charges or the fraud report. Not a single apology. He didn't ask if I was okay. Just an insinuation that I'd broken something I was supposed to keep glued together. I stared at that email for a while. Then I typed 4 words. "So, why didn't you?" No greeting. No sign-off. Just a clean mirror held up to his half-hearted guilt. I hit send. Closed the laptop. I didn't wait for a reply. I knew there wouldn't be one, at least not an honest one. For years, they'd called me strong. Resilient. The one who kept it all together. But what they really meant was, the one we can forget, skip over, rely on without giving anything back. Their idea of strength was just my silence, permission for them to keep taking. Now I'd said the one thing they never saw coming. The one question that cut through the fake warmth and landed where it actually hurt. I didn't need an apology. I needed them to sit in the absence they created, an absence they filled with my labor, not my presence. The next day, Micah texted, "You're tearing this family apart. How could you do this to us? You owe us more than this." I read it once, didn't reply. He hadn't asked why I was hurt. Hadn't even acknowledged that I might be hurting. All he saw was the break in the system that had always worked for him. But I wasn't here to repair it anymore. I wasn't the buffer, the fixer, the bridge. I was the question they didn't want to answer. And for once, that was enough. The next few weeks, I rebuilt. Quietly. I opened brand new bank accounts, set passwords that no one else knew, requested replacement cards, changed every billing address, every login, even set up a whole new cell plan, just me. No shared lines. No quiet drains bleeding into the background. I updated subscriptions one by one, tying them to a brand new email address, one I'd never once shared with my family. It wasn't about revenge. It was about release. Every time I took something back, it felt like loosening a rope that had been cinched around my chest for years. Layers of obligation I had never agreed to were finally peeling off. No more emergency calls. No more guilt-wrapped birthdays. No more being the human reminder of everything they couldn't be bothered to remember. I had carried the weight for too long. Now I was setting it down. My apartment didn't look different, but it felt different. Not bigger. Not fancier. Just lighter. I lit candles again. Cooked real meals for myself. Started sleeping through the night, not with one eye on my phone waiting for someone else's crisis, but actually sleeping. They stopped reaching out. Or maybe they didn't. I wouldn't know. I'd silenced every thread. Deleted every shortcut. I didn't need more guilt disguised as concern. Not this year. This year, no one unwrapped anything from me. No last-minute gift baskets. No cards sent out of habit. No quietly eaten costs to keep everyone else comfortable. What they got instead, without a speech, without fanfare, was the reality. The daughter they ignored was the one holding the whole structure up. And now she wasn't there. Not in rage. Not with slammed doors or dramatic exits. Just gone. They had mistaken exhaustion for strength. Because I didn't complain. Because I always showed up. Because I forgave what they didn't even realize they'd done. But I wasn't strong. I was tired. And that difference? It changed everything. They didn't lose the problem. They lost the person who kept things from falling apart. The one they assumed would always be there. Maybe I was just first. First to be overlooked. First to be used. And now, finally, first to leave.